Hey there, sir.
Spider-Man?
Ah, there's an interesting story behind this, nickel.
What?
In 1957, I remember it was, I got up in the morning and made myself a piece of toast. I set the toaster to 3, medium brown.
Oh, man.
When it came time for Insomniac to slap a 2 on 2018 Spider-Man, not a whole lot needed to be thwipped into shape. That original article, plus a 1.5 follow-up that was miles improved, was super tight already. Like Sam Raimi's spider suit rides up in the crotch. Tight. Excuse the on-brand superlatives, but everything was basically all there. Marvelous storytelling, amazing visuals, spectacular traversal, and a superior combat system well within web-striking distance of the Batman Arkham series. Honestly, all they really needed to do was take their existing red-on blueprint and just go bigger for a fanbase already well bitten.
I'm working on it!
Or, as was done, sharpen those old fangs to near perfection and inject everything with 100% more venom. Take it from somebody who's had time to 100% this game twice already. You're not going to spend much time wondering if this super sequel goes super-sized. Insomniac basically point launches right into blockbuster ridiculousness with a gargantuan God of War 3 scale boss fight. Later on, that insane visual flex goes vanier as Insomniac's VFX and environment teams let loose with some xenomorphish symbiote tech. By turning NYC into an actual, literal sandbox in the opening moments, the dev's statement of intent is unmistakably this: oh, did you think that we'd run out of web tricks? This is a PlayStation 5 exclusive game we don't need to squash down into last-gen tech. With this Godzilla Sandman fight, we're gonna put some dirt in your eye. That opening salvo is beyond impressive. Better yet, and not to reveal too much more of the roller coaster ride ahead, it's just the tip of the Sandberg in terms of wow factor. More often than not, Insomniac rises up to Naughty Dog / Uncharted series standard of over-the-top action set pieces. And that's praise I don't hand out often, if ever.
Chalk one up for the good guys.
Now, I'm going to explain more of all this in a sec, but for now, let's get you a quick bit of non-commentary gameplay. Let's talk in a minute.
My suit is sandy in all the wrong places.
Toasty, I can pop into the boat. How does it look? Was that good? If it's great, toasty. If it's not,
Well, look who's in the neighborhood!
ready for the
Yo, we're just gonna say the same about you.
We'll stop you no matter what. Cut yourself out, idiot!
Charlie horse. Crap.
Okay, going away.
Spider-Man, you came!
Thanks. We should take this on the road sometime.
Sounds like a good excuse to finally build that Spider-Mobile.
I didn't know you could move that fast, Spidey.
I'm not going to reveal too much about the plot beyond a basic overview. Mostly because I think too much has been said and showcased already about Pete's dalliances with the Venom symbiote.
Hey, man. New threads?
What I will say, generally, is that Insomniac manages to tell great A and B stories with a Spider-Man duo that can be easily switched between. That being said, you will be railroaded into using a specific Spidey for certain story beats, or 2 unique side quest threads that are mostly interesting and worth investigating.
Cool if I borrow this? This is really, really exciting.
And I say mostly here because while some parts of these involve great drama with new or returning villains, others really do pump the brakes on the proceedings. For whatever reason, Insomniac feels pretty okay with plopping leisurely bike rides, non-super character swaps, and multiple chats with elderly NPCs into their action game. It's not a huge issue overall, but I definitely signed up hoping for Otto Octavius battling, not octogenarian babbling. And I think a lot of you are going to feel the same. Looking beyond that, you can expect those Osborne family issues teased in 2018 to occupy Pete's time very quickly. The PTSD suffering Miles is given plenty of scores to settle and introspective moments as well. The true triumph here, however, is the decision to unleash Craven as this limitlessly resourced and utterly ruthless foe who plays by no rules whatsoever. Perhaps emboldened by being loosely connected to a cross-media Spider-Verse where characters are infinitely expendable, Insomniac takes the gloves right off here. This is a sequel that's not only more multi-threaded and sharper written, everything just feels considerably more higher stakes for superheroes and supervillains both. Feels like nobody's safe.
Prepare for the transfer tomorrow.
An arms deal. Not good.
I want to explode.
Spider-Man! Get the counter on! Smash the spider!
Why try when you've already lost?
That was just bad business all around.
When it comes to web gadgets, the tinkering that's taken place will sound bad on paper, but it's actually brilliant in practice. If you recall, the 2018 Spider-Man had a weapon wheel setup that had you suspending the flow of combat to select one of 8 different gadgets. You could then deploy these wildly with R1 or use surgical aim via L2 plus R1. For Spider-Man 2, Insomniac has drained your pool of upgradable gadgets to 4 total, shared by both Spider-Men. By default, you can web shoot with taps of R1, but holding will give you a modifier access to your upshot, web grabber, concussion burst, or ricochet web. Now, obviously from a numbers standpoint, that sure sounds like you're getting shortchanged, but the benefits of simplifying gadgets to face buttons pays big dividends to the flow of action. In short, the old wheel was poison for fast tactical combat. Now you can no longer cheese the system by arbitrarily holding the gadget button to neo-slow the battlefield down. Secondly, having your gadget sitting in a HUD, generously replenished, and tied to an R1 plus face button system really works great in the heat of the moment. I was pretty notorious for ignoring gadgets in the first 2 games. Here, they were indispensable, novel tools. Interestingly, suit powers have gone the way of Uncle Ben. Gone is the concept of purchasing a new Spider-U that you might not even like to secure its unique, playstyle-changing perk. Insomniac makes it rain, heavily and often, with roughly 30 exotic suits per Spider-Man, and most of them come with 3 variants apiece. Quick warning though, purchasing a suit won't be a purely cosmetic decision. The fancier the fashion statement, the more likely it requires currency that's probably better used elsewhere on especially useful gadgets or performance upgrades. Call it the OCD gardener in me, but I actually like my perks being kept in a neat forest of skill trees like this. You effectively have one for Peter, one for Miles, plus a shared skill tree that heavily concerns nice-to-have traversal skills, disarming techniques, and increased effectiveness against brutes. Much like the gadgetry rethink, the reduced mess here makes sense, but I still have a gripe or two. One can feel a bit aimless when it comes time to upgrade using an XP and ability point system that's effectively shared between 2 characters. Your future is largely unknowable, so there's a chance you could be making one Spidey badass and the other one brittle for an upcoming battle. On a more individual level, and particularly with Peter, I felt the need to not invest in practically any of his powers in Act 1. Because why would I spend on Stark Tech when I know a branch of tantalizing symbiote powers is on the way? That's not a huge problem in the long run, but it is a little problematic, initially. And hey, beyond that minor peccadillo, combat is sublime as you effectively pinball between 3 major tactics. There's the returning chestnut of thwacking fools to build focus meter pips, followed by a choice to use those pips on either a health refill or a one-shot KO. Secondly, your available gadgetry is used as a means to disrupt, displace, or concentrate enemies to where you'd like them to be. Last but not least, when you've created the breathing space or kill zone that you need, the herd thinning, health bar shredding super abilities come out in force. To say your super abilities are showy and gratifying to use would be quite the understatement.
Whoa, guys, can we take this outside?
Unlike gadgetry, superpowers are wholly unique to each Spider-Man. Tapping into his electrical nature, Miles is a slightly more crowd-controlling, chain-damaging practitioner. Peter inches a little bit more towards isolating and dishing hellacious damage onto single targets. And this is especially true when you can finally stray from his extra Iron Spider appendages to the raw, brute force power fantasy of the aforementioned Venom skills.
Enough song and dance. I'm coming, Craven.
Let's talk new surprises and stealth. The old joy of crowd controlling and isolating enemies mid-air has been augmented in great new ways. Enemy factions can now become intermixed during surprise reinforcement roll-ups. What's the silver lining for needing to quickly shift tactics and handle a bunch of new enemy archetype interlopers? The seemingly random chance of an AI Spidey teammate or other ally arriving to help you out.
Hey, need a dance partner? I've been waiting.
You just never know how a fight is going to go in Spider-Man 2, and it makes every encounter feel that much more organic and exciting. For instance, a fight with brain-dead street goons might evolve to include firebug cultists who can slip through basic combos or deny large chunks of the street with their flamethrowers. Or you might get jumped by sandmen who are CQC lethal with ground pounds and out-of-nowhere spawn-ins. As bad as they are, it's the ubiquitous new hunters who will dog you the most, with their diverse range of pain-in-the-arachnad's tactics.
Never gonna win best in show with that attitude.
You need to go in expecting several flavors of snipers, undodgeable sword bearers, shield bearers, projectile-spewing VTOLs and 4x4s, swooping bird drones, ability-blocking dogbots, axe-wielding brutes. Basically, they're just the toughest challenge in this franchise yet, and I love them, but also hate them.
Listen, this would go a lot easier for everyone if someone just filled me in.
Craven hunts what man fears most. That's all you need to know.
Oh, so he's hunting failure? Intimacy? Clowns! It's clowns, isn't it? Good riddance, I say.
Also, you should expect to be turfed out of your usual combat safe spaces, thanks to caltrop explosives, poison clouds, or networks of electric air mines that will ruin your air juggle cheese tactics. Really clever stuff.
I could get used to this.
All in all, and in the wake of Gotham Knights shifting Rocksteady's template to an inferior place, Insomniac now owns the best-in-class prize for 3D brawling in a superhero game. As a huge Arkham fan, that's not an award I hand over lightly. Oh, and to make matters even better, the stealth is the best it's ever been too. The biggest switch up is this lateral webline mechanic that lets you organically ping out your very own stealth kill clothes line. I absolutely love that it frees you from the restriction of pre-existing perches. No goon is safe now. Lastly, I also dig the clever design of hunter-blind outposts that hide atop skyscrapers.
A secret rooftop party, and I didn't even get an invite. Bet they've still got some party favors.
They're so unlike the old shipping yard stealth environments of the first game. Instead of being an all-seeing, all-knowing, death-from-above predator, you have to skulk into these blindly, and usually from below. Clearing these outposts out cleanly, without the benefit of an opening Obi-Wan advantage, is a challenge I relished.
Jeez, these guys are uptight. Guess they know about the other two blinds.
You see the monitor?
The other two blinds are down.
Because of the spider. He's
Vector's and quiet.
Was it him?
Thanks for your cooperation.
You don't have to hide.
We should take some time to talk scenery, sandbox, and the fun new ways to slingshot around. As veterans already know, Insomniac's take on spider commuting is on par with its super slick combat. The addition of wingsuiting literally elevates all that even further, and even though I went in highly resistant to it, I surrendered to flying pretty damn quick. Wingsuiting is so useful and fun, so much so, I probably can't go back and replay the previous games now. Mind you, why would I? I finished them like 5 times each. Gliding around seamlessly fits into an already sublime array of web-slinging options as more of a high-altitude solution as opposed to a low-altitude replacement. If you're down amid the skyscrapers and not utilizing the new, sparsely available wind tunnel highway that sort of threads through New York City, wingsuiting must still be heavily supplemented with more swinging than an open marriage. Knowing which traversal moves will earn and maintain maximum velocity becomes this wonderful little puzzle. Though all that may fall by the wayside if you clear a district of objectives and unlock a ludicrously loadless, land anywhere fast travel for that suburb, which is hugely impressive stuff on a technical level. As handy as fast travel is, however, it always felt like I was cheating myself out of this shinier, juicier looking Big Apple that begged to be consumed properly. Mostly to find these awesome Across the Spider-Verse collectible bots.
What, thou?
The old streets you think you know now teem with thicker traffic and more sensible and varied pedestrian routines. Corners of it can burst into new and surprising life when they get caked in random sand traps, blazes, and symbiote booger nests.
Got to wash the sheets at the house again.
Gross. And better yet, everything whips along at a silky 60 frames per second. And I love that Insomniac has almost doubled the play space with some leafier eastern suburbs. From both a presentation and exploration standpoint, Spider-Man 2 is an absolute upgrade over its already massively impressive predecessors. Looking back on my time with Spider-Man 2, with the 2015 vision of having clocked it twice, more or less back to back, there aren't many cons I can level at it. The only gripe people might have is with Insomniac being brave enough to backtrack and streamline the personal progression and abilities pools. But I honestly always felt rich in toys to play with and constantly lured with cooler stuff to web shoot for. Beyond that, it's abundantly clear that the devs haven't just punched out a sequel, so much as they have gathered their considerable strengths and energies and electric punched out a sequel.
Shoot the spider!
That's bad advice!
And the impact of that is felt on basically every front. Narrative, combat, traversal, audio-visual presentation, obscure Spidey trivia, you name it. It's better. Please excuse this not exactly unrelated Logan reference, but when it comes to superhero games, Insomniac is now the best at what it does. and my itch to see what the team does with Wolverine cannot be scratched fast enough. Those are my thoughts. If you made it the whole way through, my congratulations and thanks. When embargo lifts, I'm going to have a full ultimate difficulty long play available. But in the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Stay safe, save often, and see you next time.